get started with the second half of our workshop. And that second half will be led by our speaker, Grace Spicer. Now, she is a TEDx presenter, a youth activist, and also a Toastmaster. Grace is an exceptional and inspirational speaker with a huge personality. She's also the youngest member of North Bucks Speakers Toastmasters International Club. Recently, Grace was invited to speak on the TEDx Stage to talk about the publishing of her first book, Generation COVID, how young people responded to the COVID-19 crisis. And this was a compilation of young people's experiences during the pandemic. Grace is one of the leading planners of a youth music festival and actively advocates for youth rights. In this workshop, Grace will tell the story of her journey to the TEDx stage and the lessons she learned from standing on the famous red dot. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Grace Spicer.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Wright, for that introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests of the evening. My name is Grace, and need I introduce myself any more than that fantastic introduction we had earlier from our lovely Data. Now, today's talk is going to be quite informal because I want to have a chat with you guys. I'm going to be completely honest here. When Toastmaster Wright asked me to produce a speech about my TEDx talk, one thing ran through my mind. No, I am going to sound like a pompous person. That to me has been always what I've described my TED talk. I've always never been the happiest to talk about it because I don't want to seem like I am better than anyone else, because we all have our own achievements and dreams. And that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Of course, I'll be embedding little bits of my TED journey in so that we know what's happened for me to start and to grow to get to that famous red dot. But let's start all the way from the beginning. I started out in drama. I was in a drama and performing arts school and studied this for about 3 years and just a little after school drama club. So not really studying it, just having a bit of fun with friends. I did this right up until my GCSEs, enjoyed it, but was never really that, how should we put this? I was never really that talented. I didn't have a singing voice, my dancing was not always on fleek, and my acting, depending on who I was playing, could really be abysmal. But I still enjoyed it, and I didn't quite know why. I kept going back until GCSEs were over. In that time, I'd also signed myself on to the Milton Keynes Youth Cabinet, which is a young people's parliamentary group for Milton Keynes residents and young people to get their voices heard across the community. On my last ever day performing and being a part of the cabinet, there was an event on, just to celebrate that the group had reached 10 years of their anniversary. I was planning on leaving that year, but was asked to give a short speech about International Women's Day, which was on the same day. I then got up onto that stage and I really enjoyed it. I had no idea that was in me, but I'd now realised that speaking was the thing I enjoyed about being on that stage. Being present and having people listening to what I'm saying rather than something from a script I didn't really want to read from. People listening to my authenticity and what I had to say in a speech. That is what led me to Toastmasters. I joined when I was just 17 years old and walked into that room at North Bucks Speakers. And my first thought was, good grief, I'm the youngest one here by miles. And for the past 2 years being on Toastmasters, I've always aimed to get more young people speaking because of all times, including the present, Young people need to be heard, and that is something that I have been participating and have been active for years now. I participated in a few competitions over at Toastmasters, and I was crowned Toastmaster of the Year last year, which has been an amazing experience. But enough about all my stuff within Toastmasters. I am here to talk about this little thing right here. Now, I want you to think about TED. How many TED Talks do you think you've watched? 5, yeah? Too many to count? Yeah, fair enough. Now, if we don't mind, I'm just going to quickly share my screen so that we can talk about, I'm not going to give death by PowerPoint, by the way. I just want to quickly talk about TED and what they're about. Now, when we think of TED, what kind of talks do we envision? I'm just trying to see, can I do a slideshow? Okay, slideshow, lovely. So TED's mission is to believe powerfully in the ideas of changing attitudes and ultimately the world. But when we think of a TED Talk, do we normally cast our minds to scholars, lecturers, the highest intellects we can think of? Because they're going to provide us with information and juicy things that we want to know. And their ideas are going to be the most reliable and therefore most successful, surely. Now, when we look at the two most viewed TED Talks, I must say I was very surprised by the results that came up. And this is one of the things I want to talk about today. The second most viewed TED Talk in the world is Bill Gates. He's talking about the next outbreak. We're not ready. This was 7 years ago, by the way. Slightly worrying. This accounted 36 million views, and as you can see from the background of where he's standing, was a very technical speech. Lots of facts, statistics, and he's an important man. He has important things to say. So who on earth would overtake Bill Gates? Well, none other than Tim Urban. Does anyone here know who Tim Urban is? I'll be honest, I didn't. And Tim Urban actually is a blogger. He has accounted 48 million views for his talk, and his talk was published only 1 year after Bill Gates's talk 6 years ago. But the difference between his and Bill's is that Tim is a very laid-back person. But then again, so is Bill Gates. So what is the huge difference that we've got going on here? Well, there's quite a big difference between the two. Bill Gates is the owner of Microsoft, and Tim Urban owns a website on procrastination with blogs about, is it better to be born a French monarch in 1700s than as a regular person today? Two very stark individuals. So why do the public like Tim's talk more than they did Bill's? I mean, his presentation wasn't even very professional. It was stick figures. But I think that's why people liked it so much. And I didn't have to dig very far in the comment section to read about why people enjoyed his talks. They enjoyed his talks because he was comfortable. He was humorous. He had that connection with the audience to talk about a serious topic, yet still make it entertaining and fun and able for everyone in that audience to understand what he was saying. And now that is one of the things I am going to talk about today, is the 3 factors that I've considered since being on the TED stage. As much as I could have bewildered my audience with facts and statistics and anything about COVID and what had happened during that time, I didn't. I talked to people about the effects that it had on young people, not in a statistical way, but through writings in my book about how it had affected me and then how it had affected young people in various aspects, in jobs, in education, in mental health. I didn't use any statistics. I don't think I even mentioned one, come to think of it. I think I used one quote and that was about it. But I think that's why I enjoyed the talk so much, because I wasn't lecturing people. I was giving them something that they could maybe relate to, something a bit fun, a bit punky. So I'm going to share with you the 3 main things I've taken away from being on the TED stage and the 3 key skills I think that can come with it. The first one being authenticity, being honest, not on a podium. Anywhere you reach in life, don't ever feel like you are not worthy of being there. Initially, I gave my talk at the University of Buckingham, and I was terrified because that university is a private university. So when I walked into that room, I felt poor. But the thing was, once I started speaking, I felt a connection. Regardless of our differences and circumstances, especially considering I'm not even a uni student myself, I was still able to make that connection with them because I was honest. I told them my stories, my experiences, and other people's experiences that they could relate to. You have to speak from your heart, and I think that is the most important. The next one being connection. There is no point giving a talk about something you are just not interested in. And to be fair, that's as far as I'd gotten with drama. I was doing it because I found something I was interested in, but it wasn't quite that. But then I found public speaking, and that is where I found my connection in what I enjoy doing. Establishing relatable experiences. Build that connection with an audience that make them want to listen to you. Have that connection of being authentic, but also being engaging. And the past one being energy. If you have energy and an interest in a subject, it will relay into your audience naturally. You don't need every public speaking tip in the world, but if you have energy, you already know people are going to want to listen. It's important that when you're speaking, you somewhat tell a story, because stories are honest. They are experience, they are connection, and they are energy, because you know what you're talking about already. Humans love a story, no matter how. This could be a child reading a book. This could be a drama on TV. This could be a book, a song, a poem. Humans love stories. And if you have that energy and connection with a story that is relatable and authentic, that is how you produce a good speech. Fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Grace, for such a powerful speech. That was definitely engaging. I definitely got the authenticity. I connected with you and I felt your energy throughout. Thank you so much.